Hey guys, welcome back to another Minecraft video. Today we are exploring the southwest of the country here. So if you're unfamiliar with how I have built my Minecraft world, I have 26 different towns set up kind of on a grid system, all interconnected, but all with a very distinct, or will be a very distinct architectural style. And each town has its own baseball, basketball, hockey, football, and soccer team, usually 3 different stadiums, sometimes only 2. But today we're going to explore all of the towns that make up the nation's southwest. Now, there are 9 cities mapped out in the southwest. Only 8 of them really have any construction projects that I want to show you. But we are starting the furthest south we can possibly go in a town called Tannerford. Now, this is 3 south of center and 1 east. Which on a grid system, everything is centered around the capital city of Briarwood. So this is 1 town east of Briarwood, 3 south. This is based on Ticino in Switzerland, or it will be once more construction happens. But these 2 stadiums here make up the homes of all 5 teams in Tannerford. This here is a multi-purpose stadium, right now only outfitted for baseball, that if you're familiar with classic baseball, is replicated off of the Polo Grounds. Now, this is a stadium that existed in 4 incarnations in New York City until about the 50s and 60s, but it's very famous for its bizarre dimensions. It's got a circular kind of backstop area here, very wide foul territory, but very short foul pole lines. It's only about, I think it's something like 2 to 250 to the poles, but then it's like 500 to center. It's got this bizarre center field area, very long, very large. It was home to the New York Giants baseball club. I think the New York Giants football club, maybe the Jets as well. But it was kind of like the Madison Square Garden of outdoor sports in New York for about half of a century. So anyways, there's going to be yellow seats here, and this is going to be home to the Tannerford Units, the yellow and blue baseball team, the Tannerford Inferno, the football team, and Tannerford SC. But this is called US Bank Park, like I said, based on the Polo Grounds Stadium that is no longer in existence in New York. This right here is kind of a unique one. This is YouTube Place, which is based on the Golden One Center in Sacramento, home of the Sacramento Kings. It's going to have it's going to look similar, but it's got a bit different exterior, but inspired by the exterior of said stadium. So right now it's going to be set up for indoor tennis, but this will be home to the Tannerford Fiascos, as well as the Tannerford Dragons basketball team. It's got a windowed kind of end area, just like the Golden One Center. And then it's got this exterior that I think is... So the exterior at the Golden One Center is fascinating to me. It's got kind of this almost like bending zigzag exterior metal pattern. And what I decided to do with this is have alternating outward and inward bends, and in between them have glass that allows people on the inside to look to the outside. So eventually the entire exterior of the stadium is going to have kind of this layered pattern here. It's going to be one of the most distinct stadiums, I think, or venues in town here, and I say that humbly because I don't think the other ones are going to have a very distinct look on the outside. This right here is the basketball locker room for the home team, the Tannerford Dragons. Back there is going to be access to their bathrooms and showers, but it's kind of got this lime green and red color scheme here. But that there is the 2 stadiums of Tannerford. We're going to jump on our high-speed rail system. Like I said, if you're unfamiliar with how I've set up my world, then basically what I did is to add space between the towns, or to make it feel like it's a very spread out country. I built a straight rail system between each town for 5 straight minutes of me just placing blocks. This is a high-speed rail system. This is one of the fastest ways you can travel in Minecraft. It's a boat on packed ice, and then of course I have barriers so I don't slip off the side. But this allows you to travel a lot faster than it would be to walk or fly. I can usually get between each town, which is, keep in mind, 5 minutes apart by walk, usually get between them in about a minute, give or take. So right now we are going from 3 south, 1 east to 2 south, 1 east to a town called, let me find it on my chart here, called Uriah. And this is based on Uri in Switzerland. This is home to 3 distinct stadiums. The baseball stadium is based off of Nationals Park in Washington. The arena is going to be based off of Bridgestone Arena in Nashville. And then the football stadium will be based on Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. So right here is just kind of the starting form of that Bridgestone Arena replication. This is going to be called the Chevrolet Center. Right now also set up for tennis. Just because I got bored of building hockey and basketball, so I started doing tennis instead. This is going to be the smaller end at Bridgestone Arena. So Bridgestone Arena is kind of set up in a horseshoe pattern. So you have a very tall upper deck, distinct sections on 3/4 of the sides, and then on one side you have kind of a smaller upper deck, and then there are large pillars in the corners of each, and I'm going to add that eventually. But brown seats, this is home to the Uriah Nets, which is the hockey team, and the Uriah Kodiaks, which is the basketball team. Across the way here, this is that Nationals Park replication. This is called Nationwide Park, Nationwide Insurance. It's Nationals Park, but like I do with all of my baseball stadiums and sometimes the arenas too, I have flipped left and right field. So the scoreboard is going to be in left center, and the kind of the bar area is going to be in right center. You have the bullpens on either side here. One thing I did that I thought is kind of interesting, just because I wanted to see how weird it looked. So if you can see here, the lower section is at an angle of about 2-to-1. Diagonal. And the upper deck section above it is at a 1-to-1 angle. And what that does is add for this very weird bend. So it looks like the upper deck is kind of hanging off in a weird angle. And I might change this eventually. I might not like this as much as I thought I would to begin with, but I think it adds kind of a unique dimension to the stadium. And then back here is that Lucas Oil Stadium, or will be the Lucas Oil Stadium replication. This is called Shell Stadium, Shell, the gas station. Right now set up in a soccer configuration. It's going to have red seats here, but this will be home to the Uriah Trolls football team, as well as Uriah Seasonal, the soccer team. We go back to our high-speed rail system on the other side of Nationwide Park here, and we are going to go to 1 south, 1 east, to a town called Oppenfield. Now, I promise I didn't just name that after Oppenheimer, which, as I'm recording this video, is all the craze along with Barbie right now, but it is actually based on the area of Switzerland called Obwald, or Obwald. I just said the same word twice. I meant to say Obwald or Obwald. But a region of canton of Switzerland there. This is going to have eventually 3 stadiums as well, or 3 arenas as well. But right now it's only home to 2, and barely 2 at that. One of them is one of the more developed stadiums that I've ever built, or that I have on this world. But the other one is very, very small in its composition so far. So you'll see coming up here, I am fascinated for this year's Premier League season, given the fact that Luton Town has been promoted, and we will see major teams like Chelsea, Manchester United, Manchester City, all of the big ones playing at this stadium that is basically in people's backyards or gardens. And this is kind of a ways of a travel, but you'll start to see it here. What I have done is replicate Kenilworth Road, which is the home of Luton Town, and I'm building all of these row houses here along the side. They're not all finished by any means, but eventually I'm going to have a bunch of row houses going around. It's kind of it's not quite 2x2. It's more like 2x3 city blocks. But this will be one of the main end entrances here, a tunnel entrance here, and this is the inside of the stadium. So I haven't quite finished the upper deck or lower deck on this side. But this end is done, this side is done, and this end I just have to do the stair sections in the upper deck. But this stadium here is called Domino's on Redfield, Redfield being the area of town or the road, and Domino's, of course, being Domino's Pizza, but just kind of giving it a unique name there. It's home to the Oppenfield Spartans, which is the football team that is currently set up for, as well as Oppenfield Armory, the soccer team. we go through the main tunnel here. There's a couple of, or maybe just one locker room here. I can't remember who I built it for. So let's check it out. This is the locker room for, oh, I missed the door. This is the home of Oppenfield Armory, the soccer team here. It's got a light blue and red color scheme. And then the other stadium that I've started to build here in the back is going to be a replication of Dodger Stadium. So I've just barely started work. You basically just have the dimensions of the outfield right now. Dodger Stadium isn't super complicated. It's a mirrored, what do you call it? It's symmetrical, as opposed to some ballparks that are very, very not symmetrical, like Fenway Park. But this is Oppenfield. That other arena that's going to come eventually is going to be based on Avicii Arena in Stockholm, Sweden, or the Globen. It's going to be a big globe that just kind of sits there. It'll be a hockey and basketball arena, which that will be home to the Oppenfield Scouts and Flames. But we take this all the way up to our our 0 north, south, and 1 east. So we're just 1 east of what is Briarwood proper, and that is a town called Lancaster, which is based on Lucerne, Switzerland. So this will also have 3 arenas or 3 venues. You've probably, if you've seen the first episode of this series, you've seen some of these buildings already, and those buildings are going to be a replication of Citi Field, which is called MetLife Field, a replication of Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle called the Chrome Center, and a replication of Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh called Nestle Field. Now, yes, I know of all of the problems with Nestle, but they are Switzerland's most popular country, so given the fact that I've based this world around Switzerland, I figured it would be appropriate to do that, despite all the controversy. So we'll jump off our transit here. Let that creeper fly all the way down. This is that Citi Field replication. I haven't added anything since the last time we saw it, really. But I will fly under the bridge. I didn't really show you the bridge last time, but the bridge is in left field as opposed to right field as it is in normal Citi Field. The bullpens will be right below it. But here is that bridge that I've set up. Cool little view of the ballpark there. And then back here is that Climate Pledge Arena. I haven't really added anything to the inside. But this is the signage that says, of course, Chrome Center. I have been asked before why I use RE as the spelling. Given the fact that it's meant to take place in kind of a European replication, I figured I'd spell it the European or the English way. But I also just think it's quirky because I'm an American and I like things that are not what I'm used to. So clay tennis courts on the inside here, another arena that's set up for tennis. And then this will be that Acrisure Stadium replication. This is called Nestle Field. It's home to the Lancaster Sharks football team as well as Lancaster FC. That will be one of the big side sections there. There will be another one on that side. And this is the end zone that in Pittsburgh. This is the open end zone section here. It's kind of split level. But now we are going to move to the west and go to Briarwood proper. Now, I don't really have anything to show you in Briarwood proper, but we're not going to take the boat. We're actually going to fly straight away. So it might take a little bit, but if you will recall from the first episode, the rail system between Briarwood and Lancaster goes underground, and I still haven't figured out the quirks with underground travel yet and how to finish my system the way I wanted it or want it to, but it gives us a chance to kind of fly by the country club again. We won't go through the entire country club like we did in the first episode, but this is where it goes underground for a ways. There's just kind of empty space that will probably be a part of Lancaster by the time that the cities are expanded out, but eventually you'll see here I'm flying as fast as I can, I promise. It's still a lot faster to use the rail system, but there you see the trees that make up the country club or the golf course. There's that house, or one of the houses, I should say. This is Amen Corner right here. There's that other house to the left there. But if we go straight over Amen Corner in our replication of Augusta National, it should lead us not just back to the transit system that should pop out from underground, but to Briarwood proper. I might add some buildings there. It seems like a waste of space. I didn't really tuck the holes together the way that I would have liked to. There are like houses on the inside of Augusta National, so maybe I'll put houses, but it might be cool to like put kind of a fake suburb down there. This is the other side of the transit system here. We will go all the way into Briarwood proper. And like I said, we did a pretty in-depth view of all of the stadiums last time in the first video of this series. I think I've added some locker rooms since the last time we checked it out. Maybe not. I can't remember if I had them in there or not, but I will just do that quick. So there you see the baseball stadium way in the back. There's Midco Arena, the arena right there. And we're coming up eventually. Behind that, you will see Sanford Park, which is the soccer and football stadium. So let's actually do this. Let's travel west first. There's one town that is built to the west of this. There will be two eventually, but the furthest west town is not yet built. So as soon as we get to the apex, or the whatever you want to call it, the crossing of the two tracks, let's go to the west first, and we'll come back and touch on Sanford Park at the end of this video as we're heading south to the extreme southwest here. This will be the primary national train station when I actually build a building above it. But if we take this boat here and head to the west, it's going to lead us to a town. Let me find it here. 01 West. That town is called Falcon City. Now, Falcon City is based on the town of Freiburg in Switzerland. You might be familiar with Freiburg in Germany, which is not the same thing, although very similar in architectural styles, flag style. Similar is what I'm trying to get at here. But Falcon City is very unique, or it will be very unique in this world for one specific reason. It's going to be home to Disneyland. I'm going to eventually, hopefully, build an entire replication of Disneyland, specifically specifically Disneyland in California. There is a Lego builder that I follow on Instagram that I think provides me with enough scale models of Disneyland through Legos that I could probably replicate it in Minecraft. And so you'll start to see that over here. Let's travel to the north real quick before we come back and touch on the stadiums. But yeah, eventually there's going to be a town straight to the west of that. I think it's called Valnestor. But this right here, and we got to come into it from the east, but this is going to be the entrance to Main Street USA in this Disneyland. So like I said, I used that that Lego Disneyland Instagram page to kind of replicate this building. And eventually we're going to have a ton of buildings behind it for Main Street USA, and eventually we're going to get into Disneyland Park. I haven't decided which castle I want to use yet, so stay tuned for that. But the Disney clock face there, a really, really rough interpretation of the Swiss flag right there, and just kind of this entrance to Disneyland. We go to the south, though, and this is going to be based on Petco Park in San Diego. Of course, Petco Park has very distinct blue seats, which kind of contrast with the current team color scheme of brown and yellow. I've made comments about it in my stadium rankings before. It worked a lot better when the team used a different color scheme, but light blue is the color scheme for the Falcon City Blue Jays, which play here. I flipped the outfields as you see here. And so you see the Western Metal Supply Company building is on the right field corner now, as well as the scoreboard above it. You see flags there. There's the Swiss flag in the center, the flag of Falcon City, which is based on the flag of Freiburg. And then right there is just a team logo flag of the Blue Jays. Just very rough interpretation of it. Center field structures there. Those are going to be the bullpens on that side. I didn't really leave a ton of space for that beach area. But this, like I said, is going to be Petco Park, but this time it's called Aldi Park after Aldi, the whatever you want to call it, the supermarket chain. Behind it right here is Ferrari Park, which is a replication of Ford Field in Detroit. This right here is the sideline with all of the boxes. So Ford Field is kind of set up on a horseshoe. On three sides, it has similar lower levels, club levels, and upper decks, and then it's got corner open sections here. This will probably end up being an outdoor stadium, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do about the columns. But here, like I said, is the sideline with all of these skyboxes. Very similar in like layout to Levi's Stadium in Santa Clara. Obviously older, obviously quite a bit different. Levi's Stadium is outdoors, but then I have two locker rooms here for the two separate guest locker rooms for soccer opponents. One is purple and one is yellow. Both are purple and yellow, but one is more so one than the other. But there's that purple one right there and the yellow one on the other side here. But this is home to the Falcon City Talons football team as well as Falcon City FC or FCFC. Yes, I did that on purpose. We go then, let's go back to Briarwood proper. So we're going to go back through Aldi, or yes, this was Aldi Park right here. This is one of the more finished ballparks. I'm actually kind of proud of how far this one came along, especially with the signage in center field and the flags there. Eventually, I'll have something similar at all of the ballparks, but like I said, I kind of put my time between the different areas, and it spreads my progress quite a bit thin, if I'm honest with you. But we are going to travel then back to Briarwood, and then I believe there's two towns to the south of Briarwood that we still have yet to touch on. So when we get to Briarwood, I'll show you those new locker rooms at Sanford Park. Like I said, I cannot remember if I showed them in the first video or not, but might be fun to just touch up, and then we get to walk through Sanford Park again. It's one of my favorite stadiums in this world that I've built. Eventually, I will have different like landscaping items around the tracks to kind of make it feel like you're in separate regions of the country. So obviously right now it's just plain grass, flat. As we move to the north, you've probably seen in some of our other videos that we've already posted. I say it's me. In some of the videos that I've already posted, some of the stations in some of the smaller towns actually do have that forested feel around them, just slightly, because I haven't expanded too far, but that's what I'd like to have, is trees all around the tracks, make it feel like you're out in the country until you get into the main towns here. Here we're back at that national the national station, I guess you could call it. We'll go a little bit to the south here before we jump off let's get just to the south of Sanford Park, and then I'm going to jump off the boat here. Okay, jump off right about now. Let it slide a little ways. Sanford Park, like we said in the first video, it's based very much on Audi Field in Washington, D.C., home of my favorite soccer club, DC United. But this side here, very obviously reminiscent of St. James Park in Newcastle. It's got this corner section that I based on Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, excuse me. And then I added a double-tiered side section similar to US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis. And then this side was completely freehand. I call this the quiff side, or the quiff end. It's not an end, so I guess you'd call it the side, but kind of based on the Shanghai International Circuit, the racetrack in Shanghai for the Chinese Grand Prix. The one locker room that I'm sure we've seen before, this is home to the Briarwood Cobras, which is the football team that plays here. Blue and lime color scheme. I know we've been in here before, but the two that I'm not sure if we've been in or not are on this side. These are the guest soccer locker rooms here. One is blue, one is red. So the red one's on this side here, and the blue one on this side here. But that is Sanford Park. Let's go back to the transit system, and like I said, there are at least two more. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, there should be two more to the south of Briarwood. So hop on our boat here and travel to the south. The town to the straight south of... Oh, I got turned around. Where are we at here? My bad. The town straight south of Briarwood is called Jevelet, and this is based on the area of Switzerland called Valais. But this is home to will be home to three separate venues. There's a replication of Chase Field in Phoenix, which is called Barclays Field. There is a replication, or will be a replication, of Le Centre Bell in Montreal, called the T-Mobile Center, and a replication of Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, called BMW Stadium. So, as we approach to the south here, we should be able to see that Chase Field replication popping up on our left. Instead of having it face straight north-south, I thought it would be more fun for me, or maybe even easier for me, to try to build it diagonally. So, as we hit the station here, and go it's a little ways further off the track than some other stadiums, but there you see the distinct center field scoreboard of Chase Field. I flipped the outfields, so the pool is going to be more towards left center. The dimensions of the pool are a bit different, and that's just my fault for kind of cramming it in here. So it's far deeper, and it's not as wide as the one in Phoenix. But this is home to the Jevelet Stampede. Very weird color scheme of brown and light blue. And then behind here is the stadium. So the arena, I don't believe I've started yet, but this stadium here is based off of Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. You can't quite see it with how dark it is outside. I do apologize. But this is home to the Jevelet Scorpions, as well as the Jevelet Chandlers soccer team, which is what it's set up for now. But it's going to have this kind of hooked end zone section. There's going to be big windows right here, very similar to Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. And then, of course, I'll have the distinct pinwheel shape of it. And actually, I have just barely started the arena, but I think that is literally what you see right there. So nothing really to show you on those terms. We have one more town to the south here, and two straight south is going to be a town called Lake Loren, and this is based on Lugano in Switzerland. I did make a mistake here because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that Lugano sits in, which one is it? It's either, I think it's Ticino, is the canton that it sits in. And I accidentally made both of them, or kind of replicated both of them in my plans for this city. So one I'm going to base on just the canton itself, and one I'm going to base on Lugano, just kind of the area around it in general. But Lake Loren is home to three more venues here. We have a replication of Oriole Park at Camden Yards in Baltimore, a replication of the United Center in Chicago, and eventually we will have a replication of State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. So this is the furthest in the southwest you can go. There's nothing west of it. There is nothing directly south of it. Technically, there is one area further south than Lake Loren. Eventually, I will have like an actual big lake here. But to our east here, you are going to see the replication of Oriole Park. I have a very small scoreboard in center field. Again, I flipped the outfields, so the warehouse is going to be in left field. The bullpens are over there in right field, along with what will eventually have the upper deck section. The seats are red here. Oriole Park doesn't have anything in center field, but I've been contemplating putting trees there. And then this right here is an arena, like I said, is based on the United Center. The baseball team is called the Mermen, but this right here is home to the Finns, the Lake Loren Finns, as well as the Lake Loren Sirens basketball team. It's currently set up for indoor tennis. Shocker. And then I know for a fact that I started building the stadium, but where is it, is the question. I want to say it's over here. Yes. So this is going to be State Farm Stadium over here. That is going to be the side of the stadium that the grass rolls out onto. Obviously, I just built it into the grass. But just to keep in line with how things are in Arizona, this is going to be a big end zone section here, very empty. It's going to have temporary seats on the concrete, and then they can roll the grass out behind it. But this is called Progressive Park. That is home to the Lake Lauren Kraken, the football team, as well as Lake Lauren FC, LLFC. But that being said, that is all I have for the Southwest. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what else you want to see. If there's areas of the world that you want to see again or you want to see updated, I will make that a priority before we see it in the next video featuring any of these sections. There should be links to more Minecraft content as well as this channel and all of my other channels in the bottom left hand and around the top of your screen as this video comes to a close. But we will see you hopefully next week. Otherwise, we'll see you very, very soon.